Route 1. Usually this is where you'll grab the regional bird, train your starter, and that's about it. And that makes sense. Most of the stuff this early on is really terrible and not usable late game. However, I decided to try and beat Pokemon Emerald using only the first 6 Pokemon that I met. That includes starters, wild Pokemon, gift Pokemon, etc. The first 6 Pokemon I meet are the only ones that I can use the entire game. The only exception is that I can't catch duplicates. Will I be able to win? Watch till the end to find out. This is actually the second part of this kind of challenge series where I try to beat the game using only the first 6 Pokemon I meet. I tried this in FireRed and it was pretty hard. As always, if you enjoy my suffering and want to see more of this stuff, consider subscribing. 89.5% of you guys who watched this video aren't subscribed. Of course, only subscribe if you enjoy. Alright, let's get on with it. So I start off the game by choosing Mudkip. I was debating between Torchic and Mudkip, but I went with Mudkip since I think it'll be more useful later on. Of course, I don't have any Pokeballs yet, so all encounters before getting them won't count since I literally cannot catch them. The May fight was, as always, a total breeze. On the very first route after getting Pokeballs, I found a Poochyena. Now, I've never used this thing before, so I don't know how good it is, but I guess being dark type might be somewhat useful. Alright, so I know that like 90% of you guys are not going to believe me, but on the next route west of Oldale, my very first encounter was an accidental Ralts. No, this isn't fake. I was playing at 10 times speed and accidentally stumbled into the grass. Oh my god, this might be a complete saving grace for the team. After that, I catch my last 3 members, Tailo, Shroomish, and Wurmple. I'm hoping that Wurmple evolves into Dustox because that would absolutely destroy Norman with Protect. Honestly, this is a really good team. Hoenn has some really solid early game Pokemon. So fast forward to Roxanne and Mudkip has evolved since I only battled with it. Water Gun is a one-shot to the Geodudes, and for Nosepass I just use Mudshot twice to take it out. Brawly is next and I take out his Machop and Meditite with ease, but then Makuhita comes out and Wing Attack doesn't one-shot it. He goes for Bulk Up and heals, then he takes me out. I switch to Marshtomp and take it out with a few Water Guns. That could have definitely been a loss. Anyway, on to May fight number 2, and if this was a speed run, I would be having nightmares, but this is not a speed run, so yeah, it was really easy. So for Watson, the obvious strat is to just use Marshtomp and spam Mudshot. However, as you can see, Voltorb instantly goes for self-destruct, which halves my health. I take out Electrike and Magneton, but not before getting to low HP. For Manectric, Mudshot doesn't one-shot, and it of course has a Citrus Berry. I continue fighting it while he heals and eventually go down. Then you can see me losing almost all of my team members before finally winning. Wow, that was way closer than it should have been. I spend the next few routes just grinding up the rest of my team members, which thankfully doesn't take too long since they don't require too much experience. Anyway, by the time I make it to Maxi, everyone is at least level 20. I use Mach Punch on Mightyena, but he surprisingly switches to Zubat, so I switch to Swellow to take it out. I finish off Mightyena after a while, and last is his Camerupt, but I just switched to Marshtomp to take it out easily. Next is Flannery, and this was a lot closer than I'd like to admit. Her first 3 Pokemon all went down easily, but Camerupt set up Sunny Day before fainting, which meant that Torkoal would be a big problem. I chip it away with Marshtomp, but it gets an overheat and one-shots me, and its White Herb restores its half special attack. This is bad. I get an Leech Seed with Breloom and luckily finish it off with Kirlia. If I didn't have that Leech Seed, she would have healed and I would have definitely lost. So right about now is where I'd normally be incredibly worried about the Norman fight. However, I think it's going to be really easy. No, actually, it's going to be a complete cakewalk. Why? Well, remember how I said that Dustox was going to be useful? Well, it learned to Protect at level 17, which will turn Norman slacking from a legendary beast into a punching bag that can't fight back. Now, I'm really underleveled for this part of the game, so I go to the fiery path to get myself some special attack EVs for Dustox before the big fight. I also fought all of the trainers in the desert for some extra experience. Let's beat Norman. Alright, I thought that I would need Dustox for the Norman fight, but it turns out I didn't. Breloom's Mach Punches surprisingly were strong enough to take out Norman's first 3 Pokemon with ease. Then for slacking, I Leech Seeded thinking that I'd go down the next turn, but his Facade brought me to 3 HP, so I was able to heal a lot of my health back, and because he used a Hyper Potion on the attacking turn, he was never able to hit me again. Wow, that was way easier than I thought it would be. So now we're entering the later portion of the game, which means 2 things. 1, I'll need to catch up on levels, but more importantly, Kirlia is going to evolve evolve into Gardevoir. She should be a huge help for the team, especially during the final few battles. Anyway, as always, May 3 is a joke. Nothing to see here. Also, I bought a few hidden power TMs to see what types my members got, and I ended up getting a few useful ones. To see just how powerful Gardevoir is going to be for a team, just look at this Winona fight. Yes, I know she's an easy gym leader, but it was almost a complete one-shot sweep. For some reason, I remember Pokemon Emerald being way harder when I was younger. Should I try Nuzlocking it someday? So this part of the game is always pretty tedious for challenge runs since it's a lot of backtracking and flying around, so I'll just briefly go over the two important battles since none of them were actually anything crazy. The final May fight was, of course, a sweep because she never fully evolves her Pokemon, and the Maxi fight was obviously another breeze since I have counters for all of his types. Now let's move on to an actually somewhat difficult fight, Tate and Liza. It's a double battle, so I have to think a little bit more. I lead with Swampert and Mightyena since they both have good coverage, and I get a free Intimidate. I Shadow Ball Xatu and use Surf to hopefully take it out, and luckily I get a crit on Xatu so I don't have to worry about using Calm Mind. Mightyena goes down, but one more Surf takes out Claydol too, so now it's just down to Solar Rock and Lunatone. Solar Rock charges up for Solar Beam, and I try to take it out, but it has a Citrus Berry, so it takes Swampert out. I finish it off with Thunderbolt, and a crit Steel Wing from Swellow finishes the battle. Man, it would be really cool to see more double battle gym leaders. Right after that is the one Archie fight in the entire game. Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason I included it. So right after that, once again, two grown men decide that awakening the elemental gods using the obviously wrong colored orbs is a spectacular idea, so now I have to run some extra errands. Thanks for the extra video time, I guess? Anyway, after all that, time to battle Juan, aka the most forgettable gym leader ever. It starts out with me almost fainting to his love disc while trying to set up Calm Minds, then sweeping through his next team members. Then for his Kingdra, I have comically terrible accuracy luck until I finally hit him with a double powered Psychic for the win. Well, at least the battle was pretty entertaining. Right before getting to the Elite Four, of course, we have the Wally fight, but I mean, he's not really that much of a threat. So yeah, moving on. As usual, I spent the rest of the day grinding in Victory Road and fighting the rest of the trainers since I'm pretty underleveled. It doesn't take too long since the wild Pokemon are actually really good for a change and give a lot of experience points. This team isn't too bad actually. I might struggle with Phoebe, but that's all that I can really see as a problem. So first to Sydney, and as usual, he's not a threat. I take Mightyena down easily, and then I sacrifice Swallow to reset Breloom's attack, and then I take it out. Next is Shiftry, and he goes for Swagger. I luckily hit, but for Crawdaunt I hit myself and I lose almost half of my health. Luckily, I hit the next turn, so last is Cacturn. I go for Mach Punch, and I thankfully hit it. I like how I say thankfully as if me fainting would have actually lost me the battle. I say that way too often. Phoebe actually wasn't a hard battle. Mightyena's crunched it over half of her health, and for Banette, I seeded it, and then I took it out with Swampert to remove the curse. I then took Sableye out with 2 Earthquakes, and then her second Banette with Mightyena, although I annoyingly lost all of my crunches since I used Grudge. Last was her second Dusclops, but with Swampert, it was an easy KO. Next is Glacia, and I one-shotted her first 2 Celios with Breloom, and then for Walrein, I knew that she would one-shot me, and I wasn't sure if I could outspeed, so I went for Mach Punch, and she used Ice Beam to take me out. I switched to Gardevoir, and my heart sank as I saw her try to use Sheer Cold, but she luckily missed. I took her out, and for her last 2 Glalie, I used 2 Calm Minds and got 2 lucky crits in a row. Wow, that could have gone either way. Fourth is Drake, so I start off with a Calm Mind knowing that he always uses Protect first turn, and then I one-shot Shelgon with a Psychic. Next is Flygon, and I lose a lot of health since I used Earthquake, but I one-shot it with Psychic. Third is his Salamence, and he goes for a Rock Slide that I thought would take me out, but it didn't. I get in a free Psychic that brings him to low health, and his Berry takes him out of potion range. I finish him off with Swampert, and next is Altaria. I have an annoying battle spamming Ice Beam since he uses all of his potions for some reason, and then finally his Kingdra. I go down and seed him with Breloom. I spam Mach Punch over and over again until I go down, but at that point, it's too late for him. Finally, we have Wallace. I start with Thunderbolt since Water Spout's damage is based off of HP, so it does basically nothing when Wailord is low, and then when he heals, I set up a Calm Mind to take him out the next turn. Tentacruel goes for Toxic, and miraculously, I get the 10% miss, so I'm at Ludicolo with full health. I set up another Calm Mind, get seeded, and sadly don't one-shot. However, it was arranged so the next turn it faints. For Whiscash, I go for the risky play of using Gardevoir again, and I luckily take it out. 5th is Gyarados, and I try going for Thunderbolt, but he outspeeds and takes me out with Hyper Beam. Alright, that's not really good. I use the free turn to leech seed him, and then I chip him down with Breloom as he sets up again and finishes me. I use Mighty Anna to chip him down some more and get a special defense drop right before going down. I can now safely use Swampert's Ice Beam to take it out while he recharges. Last is Milotic, but I have to play this safe. I sacrifice Swellow for a safe switch into Dustox, but he uses Toxic instead, activating Guts, so Facade does almost all of his health. After going down, I use Light Screen, and with my first ever encounter, Swampert, I take him out with one last Earthquake. And that's that. You know, one thing I've noticed about Hoenn runs is that they're incredibly easy for like 90% of the run, and then Wallace comes in and it's just pain. I'm not sure why he's so difficult. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. I love doing these types of fun challenges and have plenty more coming in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.